the weather is heating up. You kind of feel like
Oh, is that what you
your
meant
body
by
is trying to
toasty?
decide whether to sweat, whether to dry up. That kind
My
of.
body is not confused. My body has been sweaty.
I'm happy for you. Well, that does give credence to the toasty adjective a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh, so I'm toasted.
Hey, good. I mean, whatever you want to be right now is fine. You can be toasted, you can be burned, you can be fried, roasted, whichever one.
Serious skin burn right now. The sun is. It's like the sun is vex. Like, bro, calm down. Like, I didn't offend you. Why are you so hot? What did they go on?
Because you are not.
I'm not what? I'm not hot. What?
He's trying to balance it out and make sure that it brings you up to speed.
Up to speed.
You can't be radio's finest and you're not hot. You get what I mean?
Nah. You can be cool.
To be hot.
But you can be cool. I want to be cool.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen for you, brother. So yes, indeed, it is quite warm in the nation's capital. Perhaps if you are in some of the more advantageous regions where you've got lots of trees and lots of hills and mountains, it's probably different for you. But whatever the case is, we are welcoming you heartily to Hard Facts this afternoon. You want to add a beat to that?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, 3:09 p.m. is the time. It's the 21st day of October 2025. Just in case you're not sure and you've been sort of like ahead or behind, come, stay with us. Be up to date as far as the day and time. Somi is the name. That's SOMI, short for Somi. And of course, you know who's beside me.
Yeah, this is the voice of radio's finest, Gabriel Spector. And I am excited. It's always a delight. We had really hard conversations yesterday, when some people got riled up.
And it's gonna get harder.
That's the idea of the show. It's called the Hard Facts. Hard. So there's this adage. I don't know if it's a Yoruba adage, but it's one that is it's been in our folklore for a long time. It says when two friends go in and come out smiling, they probably didn't tell themselves the truth. But when two friends go in and come out frowning at each other, yeah, the truth was spoken.
I don't know about that.
You do not know about that?
No.
You've never heard that?
I don't know about that. Why? I can go in, have difficult conversations with my friend, and we'll move past and come out, we're still smiling.
Oh no, but
why must we come out?
No, it's not literal. So it's not literal. It's an idiomatic expression. It's not literal. It's metaphorical.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, just to say that you're trying to get under my skin.
To poke you. Yes, I
do. Why? How many flesh they get?
So that earlier in the show we get to see Gabriel. Bam, 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 bam. Do you know what I mean?
I'm trying to be cool now. You're trying to get me round up.
Oh yeah.
I said today, no fight. We just come to the job nice. But I guess that cannot work. Oh, yeah. Really, I guess that cannot work because we have to say the truth. And unfortunately, some people want to hear what to make them feel good, feel nice, and that's not how it works. We need to say the truth. We say it home, and it's our nation. It's our nation. Every part of it. The Holy Book says when one part of the body is affected, the whole body is affected. It was Apostle Paul that was talking to a church and was talking about the church body of Christ. But to bring that home to the conversation, if Zamfara State is in the news like it is this morning on the Big Three, and they are abducting 73 people from Zamfara State. Now, that's what Zamfara State would have contributed to the nation has been taken away. In some sense, the sense of dignity, sense of pride that my brothers and sisters in nationhood would feel in Zamfara State, that has been eroded from them because they're battling abduction, they're battling, all forms of insecurity. It was when Kwara State, Somi, got hit in a very nasty manner. Somebody said, this thing don't they reach home. This thing don't they reach home. When 2014, the bomb blast that shook the entire nation and even shook the world, shook Africa, because it was like pretty clear that this thing don't they come. So we cannot say that if we are, and that is the mindset many people have to some of these stories. This thing never reach our side. Now that's how they happen. And it's not until it gets here before we begin to talk. And that's why, there is that need to look at some of this story. I mean, look at what is happening in Zamfara State. And as much as sometimes, even me, sometimes I get weary talking about these issues. But I remind myself, Gabriel, this is not about how you feel. It is about ensuring that people who need to hear the truth, people who are the decision makers. Recently, I was having a conversation over the weekend. I even forgot to mention this yesterday. I was having a conversation with one of my bosses in the media. He's one of the biggest editors in TV and radio. Trained me in Lagos, an amazing man, has been all over the world training people on journalism. And we're having a conversation. And he said something to me. He said, Gabriel, did you know that many of our senators, they actually have, beyond media, they have not just the media, like when we say media, people think we're talking about someone that would do press briefing, press alignment, PR, social media account management and all that, and maybe the photography unit. There are actually some senators, some ministers, they have somebody that monitors public perception about them as individuals and politicians. Like they pay somebody, what that person does is monitor public perception. So that person listens to radio for them, listens to watch TV news for them. Sometimes some of these politicians get paid to be in the news. They organize press. No, and I didn't say that in a bad way. They organize press briefs, call newsmen to
they
make.
Get paid or they pay?
They pay. That's what I meant. I think I made a mistake there. They pay to be in the news. They organize press brief, call newsmen. More like what the Minister of FCT does with the media chat rather. He gets broadcasters or media personnel around and interacts with them. So you see them. That means they actually, even if they do not tune in to listen, they actually have some form of feedback that samples opinion from the public. So I tell myself, Gabriel, this is not about how you feel. Because this issue now, this story, bandits abduct 73 from 2 Zamfara villages. It would have, typical me as a person, I wouldn't want to read this story. But it is not about me. It's about the fact that we still have this issue. And we need to keep hammering that, at least let it be on record, that we spoke up. Even if this is not Zamfara State, even if we were talking about the far north, but we cannot fold our arms and watch some part of the country ravaged by banditry, insurgency, cattle rustlers, what have you. So what exactly is going on? I mean, the Zamfara State governor came out and spoke up. He said, we are having serious security challenges. He came and said, Hoa, we are having serious security challenges. What has been done are we going to keep talking like this?
So let's look at particulars about this particular event and then sort of like bring everything together in context, because what it's looking like, and I hear you say that the Zamfara governor came out and I don't know if that was like some sort of a cry for help. They do seem largely helpless when it comes to matters like this. But the one thing that is sure is that the kidnap for ransom economy is thriving, especially in states like Zamfara State. Now, today's report has 73 people abducted from 2 villages. We're going to look at the details of that, but I just want us to have these numbers ringing in our heads. Like, let's actually picture a room full of 73 people to understand the gravity of what's happening in this state, and then while we get into the rest of it. So the 2 villages where these kidnappings happened are Buzugu and Rayel villages in the Bukayum local government area of Zamfara State. It was a counter-insurgency publication, Mahkama Zagazola, that put this out in a security alert which they posted on their X handle yesterday evening. According to them, the terrorists launched midnight attacks on the villages as far back as the 18th of October, kidnapping the unsuspecting villagers. 2:45 a.m. thereabout is when this happened, and according to the report, sources said efforts were ongoing to ensure the safe rescue of all abducted persons and to restore normalcy in the affected communities. When contacted, the spokesperson for the police in Zamfara State, Yazid Abubakar, said he was out of the state, but he will confirm with the divisional police officer and get back to the news report. This was posted by Premium Times, as a matter of fact. Now, 73 people in this one attack. Earlier this month, terrorists, during a daytime attack, kidnapped 30 people from a village in the Zugu district of the same Bukuim local government area. A few days before that attack, terrorists were said to also kidnap 2 councillors and an imam from a village in Gusau local government area. Last month, terrorists were said to have killed about 5 worshippers in a mosque in Yandoto village, Safi local government area, and they also kidnapped, get this, an unspecified number of people. Now, if you take it as far back as August, at least 2 people were killed and 100 others, including women and children, were abducted in an attack on the Gamdum Malam in Adafka Bukuyum local government area. Now, just why reports like this are very, very, very key. We're looking at a spate of attacks and continued kidnapping in communities across the state, but specifically for the purpose of this report, Bukuyum local government area has been under attack. And if you look at the 100 plus the 30 plus the 73, we're looking at very least 200 people attacked and kidnapped specifically in these communities. Now, where you hear statements like the Zamfara governor said, according to Spectre, saying that, some sort of a cry for help, some things are key. There's a particular local government area where these things are happening. Why is there continued incessant attack, and how are these bandits able to continuously go there and make away with large numbers of people? In some reports, 30, but as much as 100 people at certain points in time. This just bears discussion, because you can't have the kind of, the way I see the sort of helplessness that we see with some of the governors of some of these states sometimes. It makes you feel, if the governor can feel and look so helpless, then what is the ordinary person in those local government areas supposed to do? How can you have, at the very least, 200 people, at the very least, from this report alone, spanning August till the 18th, when this last attack happened? How can you have, at the very least, that number of people kidnapped?
Yeah.
These particular communities in this local government areas kidnapped, and there is just this overall sense of helplessness. That's, for me, is the biggest question here. I mean, we're having these attacks and kidnappings by bandits happen in different communities across different regions. You had a report by SPM Intelligence showing that over 4,722 people were kidnapped across Nigeria between July and June. July of last year and June of this year, with about 2.57 billion being paid in ransoms. Now you're having situations where even when this kidnapping happens, you don't even hear, it's like you don't even bother trying to make a public spectacle of how much they are going to demand in ransom, because automatically that's what it is that is going to resort to. So these conversations seem to be going on behind the scenes, and these people are emboldened every time to come back and keep doing this and keep committing these acts, and there's just this general sense of helplessness.
So I'm going to tell you something for a fact, right? And I have mentioned this a number of times in passing, that one of the major reasons why we need to look into the northern region and why these attacks keep happening, apart from the fact that it is heavily politicized, because...
What do you mean heavily politicized?
Heavily politicized in the sense that we have seen the government swift in certain circumstances to handle certain threats. Look at the way they say they want to nip violence that can escalate from protests in the bud. So you see swiftness, joint task force of police and military to clamp down on protests not to escalate, according to the government. I would never forget this it's always fresh in my head when the Abuja airport in 2018-19 was going to be renovated. It was shut down for a couple of months. And before then, the Kaduna Expressway, which had the nearest airport to Abuja, was always heavily attacked by kidnappers, by what have you. In fact, it was just a fresh incidents that was just brewing. It was not even this large scale at the time, and nothing was done. That entire road stretch was just abandoned. Nothing was done. People were complaining. But the moment it was clear that they needed to fix the Abuja Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, did you see the speed with which they arrested the issue there? Until it came down. It was after a year or two after the operations in Nnamdi Azikiwe got back that, there's now been reports on that road as well again. So my point exactly is that we know that when the government, they want to handle a matter, they know what to do. Nigerian military, Nigerian army generally is recognized as one of the best in Africa, if not the best. In terms of military might, in terms of war power, we got to Kano jets from the US under President Muhammadu Buhari. So we have the might, we have the know-how. At least according to us defense security chiefs, that's what they tell us. They have the manpower, they have the know-how, they have the instruments to fight all of these things. So I dare say that they know what to do to end all of these issues. But we know that there are arms dealers, there are people in government who have been mentioned, their allegations at the very best right now. Nothing is confirmed. But the fact that we have some politicians that have been mentioned as, sponsors of some of these events and nothing has been done. So all of these things go a very long way. But where I'm even going to exactly is the fact that state like Zamfara State are highly rich in mineral resources. These are states that are rich in the deposits of minerals. For example, Zamfara is very rich in gold. And we know that there's an unspoken activity, revelation of activities in the mining sector in Nigeria. In fact, just like many of our politicians have oil wells all over the country, in oil-rich regions, the same way many of our politicians have minefields where mineral resources are, all of these things. The other time, when some mining licenses were revoked and they began to cry, this is one issue that we're not even talking about. And I believe that needs to be looked into. Now, some of these bandits, they fight over some of these minefields to get some of these resources. It makes them rich. So many times, it's not even exactly an attack on the people. It's infighting with different groups. And then the people are burnt in the process. So, but because we have a government that is not transparent in activities of mining right now. When was the last time you got a report from the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development?
How about we take a breather?
Yes, let's take a breather. Yes, let's go for a break.
Commercial break. Commercial break didn't quite go as planned, so let's keep up with the conversation, shall we? You were asking a question. I know that Dele Alake has been very vocal around matters of mining and how they're trying to sanitize it, with the licensing and, the illegal miners and all of that. I'm not quite sure about a regular report that is being put forward, but, he's been a little more vocal than what you would have seen in the past from some other ministers handling that particular office. But coming back to the case of Zamfara, infighting or no, lives are going. Again, I refer back to the report June 2024 up to June 2025. Zamfara alone had over 1,000 people abducted, according to the SPM intelligence report, and that number clearly is rising. And so if it is a case of this unfortunate economy that seems to be on the rise, the kidnap for ransom economy that seems to be on the rise and seems to be thriving, then there is definitely a lot more that can be done than what is currently being done. And this is not just to Zamfara, but every other state where you have the activities of these bandits going practically unchecked, literally practically unchecked. And this also would, I would put box what's the state into the same category, Katsina, where there's negotiation with the bandit. As far as I'm concerned,
that's another big issue.
That doesn't do the people of those places any good. Doesn't do anyone any good if that's the precedent that is set. I believe there were these negotiations around the time of, what's his name? If I'm not mistaken, the current Minister of Defense, if I'm not mistaken, when he was governor in Zamfara State, at some point, conversations around, there is some conversation going on between the government and the bandits in the state. They were also rife in the media. So whatever the case is, one thing is clear. The approaches that have been used to handle these bandits before, it doesn't seem to be doing any good, especially to people in the community who are constantly caught in this unfortunate trap. At the very least, Bukuyum local government area should be spotlighted if they need to declare some sort of what they call it now, curfew or something that just ensures that there is a heavy military presence, heavy security force presence across every part of this local government area. Because how can this continue happening and over again? I'll draw a bit of a reference to what's happening in my estate, where I've said a number of times that, there have been repeated attempts to come in and steal. And you can see that a pattern has formed in the way these petty thieves operate. They're petty right now, but that's how it always starts. It starts out as petty, they move
and then
one
it becomes
person, 2 people, 3 people.
It becomes
At
articulated.
some point, even what we're losing our minds about now, saying hundreds of people, 70, 30 people thereabout, at some point will become petty to them, because what is happening is that with the continued attack and kidnapping in these places, there is not commensurate effort to stall them or stop them. And so at some point, 100 now becomes 200 at some point. I mean, we remember how many girls were moved from that secondary school. It was all seeming like an impossible thing, but this is now becoming normal in Nigeria, where hundreds of people, tens of people are being abducted, and it's
so me. I'll tell you exactly why, and I'll tell you exactly why it's not stopping, and with the way things are, with the kind of leaders that we have, because what is the essence of a government that cannot protect its people? What is the essence of a state governor under whose leadership the people keep dying like chickens? And I mean, I apologize. I think that was a wrong simile to use. But my point exactly is this. The reason why you would keep having these events reoccur, I've told you, Somi, I promise you, it is because they have vested interests. Serious vested interest in different areas in these states that are affected. Because indeed, you ask the question, what does it take to... There's no governor right now, no sitting governor, even in the harshest of states where the insecurity is in the highest form. There's no sitting governor right now that does not have intel as to where any group, any insurgency group, banditry group, cattle rustling, kidnappers, there's no governor that does not have information as to where they are. Any state, there's no governor. Any state, there's no governor. Even if the governor is that oblivious, which already is a problem, you are that ignorant of what is going on in your state, I promise you, it takes just 24 hours. He will have all of the information on his phone. So you would ask yourself, because we don't even talk about security food, because, Nigerians have gotten tired. We've just moved on. But do you know how much is being chunked out every month as security vote to governors? How much? We're talking about money that runs into millions of... I'm talking about millions hundreds of millions. So we have docile, if I can use that word, state governors who keep waiting for funds from the federal. Maybe one of the things that would help is that we change the kind of way we run the country from a federalized system to one where every state, the way it is now, the government owns all of the resources and then allocates funds to every state and local government. Rather, we should look at state now fending for themselves and then remitting to more like how we had under the monarchy, where everybody will bring homage to the king. Something like that. Maybe that will help our governors become more responsible. And because now they are very quick to defect. Any small thing, but we don't control security. Any small thing, we don't control. So that is a good way or umbrella for them to hide under and say, we don't control security. They don't answer to me. But we know that when a governor wants to bully someone, he will get it done. So you see, you'd think that for the kind of resources at their disposal, this should be easy peasy to them. Just solve this issue. Clear out these people. Clear out, even if the insurgents group or the banditry group, they have infiltrated into the community, they're living amongst the people. I promise you, the kind of security forces that we have in Nigeria, I have seen police work. Somi, I have seen Nigerian police work. They traced a car. I will never forget. I'll keep talking about this incident. They traced a car from Lagos to Taraba State. Recovered that car, brought it back to Lagos. I promise you, I have seen them work. How much more the Nigerian military? So it is not a matter of lack of ability. It's a matter of will. Do they feel that do they feel compelled to solve these issues? So that, it's just really sad that we have a group of politicians that are getting to political office at the highest place, and they see lives as just collateral damage, scores. They see lives as scores that you can just let go, nothing will happen. I mean, and I just really hope that the northern region, really, where electoral intelligence and literacy is more difficult because of the way the climate in that part of the country, it's just really sad, really, because even, what am I even talking about? In the south, there's another way by which people are kept under cage. But in the northern region there, we know the things happening. Number of children out of school in Nigeria, more than half of that figure is in the northern region. So literacy is a problem. General literacy is a problem. People are kept ignorant because ideally, they should have come to a place where they're able to say, you know what, these people do not really have. Why do these things keep happening to us? I was speaking to a friend who is now currently in Maiduguri. He's been in Maiduguri for over 6 years, and we were having a conversation. And I told him, I would like to come and I would like to visit Maiduguri one of these in the next coming months. Maybe you facilitate hosting me and my logistics and all of it. He said, no problem. He works for an NGO, a CSO in Maiduguri in Borno State. And he said, since he got there, he has never experienced even armed robbery. Petty thief, he has never experienced. But that is the capital city. It is in the villages that all of that in fact, he said it is when he also sees the news that he hears that something happened in the same Borno state that he's in. It's when he reads the news with people like us in Abuja here that he hears that there's even something happening. So there's a very big disconnect, even in those regions, in the same state. Big disconnect. You'll be in the capital city, it is like nothing is happening. But daily, people are dying. So something is wrong. There's a lot more to this issue. And it's just sad that while the government, or when we say government, I mean those in power, for whatever vested interest, they keep dilly-dally every day. And I hope they know that for every person's life that is lost due to negligence, ignorance, or vested interest, their blood is in their hands. I hope they know that. If they do not know, well, I'm saying it now so that they can remember, they can be reminded. Their blood is on their hands, really, because the transaction is very clear. It's a democracy. We hand over our commonwealth to you. We hand over management of our commonwealth and resources. In return, you put up reforms, put up policies that can look out for us. All of us cannot be in power. Somebody has got to be in power, and you're not better than we are. In fact, you are there to serve us. So it's a very clear, straightforward transaction. Very straightforward. We all cannot be in power. So, okay, you go, represent us, manage our commonwealth for us, and put policies in place to make sure that we live better lives, that we make sure that we are secured, we are safe. But now you get there, the same resources that are supposed to take care of us, the same resources is what are now, it's sad. It's sad.
All right, let's move on. Check out the two other stories so that we can open up the phone lines and get your thoughts. And if you already see the messages coming in, keep them coming in. If you're sending voice notes, please keep it no more than 1 minute, 30 seconds. We're also streaming on Facebook and YouTube, so you can be part of the conversation there as well. As for the second story here, over the weekend, everywhere was awash with stories about the alleged coup plot that was foiled. And there's been a lot in the media, yes, but the ADC is now calling on the federal government to say, look, we need to hear from you directly.
Yeah.
What is all this talk? Come out and address the nation. Let us know transparently if any threat truly exists. Now, this is coming after, I think, over the weekend, about 16 I heard of mid-level military men who were apprehended. But when asked about them, they said it was due to some routine exercise. You know, they didn't level up to thereabouts.
Yeah.
But there are still these rumors. And to put it in perspective, as far back as the 1st of October, these rumors were in play. It was so bad that at some point it was said that was the reason why the president cancelled his the 65th Independence Anniversary event and the parade and all of that, even though the federal government has come out to deny any such thing. It was said it was because the president had to be at some international event. At some point, even the president said he cancelled the parade because he just wanted to rest and just take a chill pill and all of that. But, you know, even though he was sort of put to rest at the 1st of October, the rumors came aflame again over the weekend. And so the ADC has come out to say, look, you need to come out and address the people. They need to hear from you directly. Let's understand what really is going on around talks of some coup plot that was foiled, or whether there was no coup plot at all. In a statement on Monday, Bolaji Abdullahi, the ADC's National Publicity Secretary, said, while the party condemns any attempt to undermine Nigeria's democratic order, the government must not exploit the situation to instill fear or pursue political advantage under the guise of national security. He said, and I quote, the ADC has been following reports of an alleged coup plot involving some arrested military officers and claims that a former southern governor is under investigation for allegedly funding them. And they're saying that the federal government has to come out to speak concerning this. They say they're equally worried about the possibility of using such allegations to justify political witch hunts, suppress dissent, or manipulate public opinion. So to put the matter to rest, come right out and say it. They've said that the federal government's, in quote, silence on the matter has allowed the rumor to spread unchecked, fueling suspicion that it may be politically motivated. They said even more troubling are media reports suggesting unnamed politicians are linked to the alleged plot, a development that could be used to justify clampdowns or surveillance on opposition figures. I think the question here is, should the government be allowed to handle any such matter the way they deem fit? Because there are concerns about if indeed there was such a thing, and word came out that there was such a thing. There was an official statement put forward. There were concerns about panic and fear and all of that being spread. So is the government not well within their right to decide how to handle this matter? Do they really need to come out, like the ADC is saying, to make a statement? I guess we'll let you jump in on that as well, the listeners. But let's hear from you, Gabriel.
Yes, I feel like the people, they deserve to know, even though the government, I personally spoke about this issue extensively on I think Sunday morning, and I believe that what Malam Abdullahi is saying, what he's saying is typical of what an opposition would say. asking that there should be more clarity, especially when we look at news of certain persons being picked up and all of it. So it looks like there's a conflict somewhere in terms of what the military is saying, what the presidency is saying, and what persistent rumor is. And I remember a caller called in, or somebody sent a text via WhatsApp and said, there's no smoke without fire. For there to be the news, it means that there is something must have been brewing somewhere. Now, this is not the same as saying that a coup happened, right? I think it is in the best interest of the government to clarify. Maybe the reason why they are choosing not to is because perhaps talking about it so much can even lead to many other persons being emboldened to even want to attempt it. Now, so when it comes to this issue, really, I don't think, like I said, the ADC is just making a political statement, which I believe is in their right as an opposition to make such a statement. We've not been fortunate to have a government, or even present or past, that is very proactive in terms of communicating with the people. On many occasions, as a broadcaster and as a PR person, I've seen several issues where the government could have scored cheap PR points. Many issues where I'm just looking at it as surface value and a surface point, and I'm seeing that this issue could have been handled this way, and it would have projected the government in a positive light. I give you a typical example, and I've said it before. The infograph that was released on the presidency's X page, that showed the amount of money that has been disbursed or earmarked to projects across the nation, even the 6 geopolitical zones. I remember telling Kim that time that how I wish they intentionally downplay the figures, even beyond what it is actually. Downplay the figures intentionally, or at the very best, make it the exact figure that it is. But of course, we know that sometimes...
You didn't trust that the figures were the exact figures?
Eh?
You didn't trust that the figures were the exact figures?
Yes, because even we did not even do so much study before we began to see some discrepancies in the infograph. We didn't do so much. We didn't need to look too far before we saw certain things that were eyebrow raising, And I just feel like that was... it's good that you would release an infograph, but you could have used that to show that, okay, we are big on accountability and transparency. Where it is even people that will go and say that, based on our findings, this thing should have costed more. It is an infograph. It is not what it is in paper, in the document. It's just an infograph. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So I see many ways that the government could have done better with PR. And if we're expecting any difference with a sensitive matter like coup in the country, I don't. That's why I said the ADC is just making a political opposition statement. I don't think that the government will say more than they've already said as far as the coup is concerned. But I went on, I remember on Sunday, to go ahead and say that, by and large, I just hope that we move on from this matter of coup, because again, and I'll say it over and over again, we cannot afford coup in the country for many reasons. I can go on to give you the reasons why we shouldn't even be praying that it happens. Are we happy with the dividends of democracy we are seeing and how people are feeling the pangs of certain policies the government has taken? Definitely, we're not happy. Do we wish that can get better? We wish so. In fact, it has to get better. Otherwise, the people will push to the wall. In fact, people are already at the wall. And I just pray that the last straw that will break the camel's back doesn't happen anytime soon. But at the same time, do we then begin to wish that there's a military takeover? I'll maintain a very strong stance on it. No, we cannot afford it. We shouldn't even wish it. For so many reasons, from talking about the instability that it will cause on our economy, the fact that investors will be deterred and scared away by a military takeover. We are talking about the largest African country on earth at the moment. In terms of population, we're just trailing India. I think India, China, US or so in terms of population in the world. So we are in top 5. Now, that kind of country is one that you do not want erratic instability. It might take a while before we recover. So for the matter, I'll use this opportunity again to just encourage those who are giving up on democracy, giving up on whatever. if you are giving up on democracy, I don't know what to say to you. But one thing I can say to you is that we cannot afford a coup in this country. Not now, not anytime soon. For so many reasons. We are like, a country that other countries are looking up to. When other countries are failing in terms of a democratic transition and process, then we also are now we feel we've been able to have 7 election had in the country and transition of power. 7 so far, and that's some step. No matter how bad you want to talk about it, it is still some step. And we need to maintain at least, if this is the minimum, the least we can do, let's maintain it and not scatter everything. They say, it's like a rabbit hole. It's the beginning, How far it will go, you do not know.
All right, let's take this final story. We have determined today to allow enough time for you to call in with your contributions, and that's going to be happening right after the news. But let's get this one out of the way. Former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Chief Wole Olanipeku-San, has urged the National Assembly to suspend further amendments to the 1999 constitution of the country. He said the country required a new homegrown constitution that would genuinely reflect the collective will of Nigerians and their uniqueness instead of another round of patchwork reform. So he said the National Assembly should for the time being stay action and instead consider that what the Constitution needs is an entire rebranding, a complete overhaul and a substitution altogether. And he says it has to be a negotiated document that will pave way for a new social order. He made this while delivering the 13th convocation lecture of Afe Babalola University in Ado-Ekiti. And his arguments continued. And, at the point he talked about how he had, since the 1999 constitution was midwifed and became operational under General Abdulsalami Abubakar military regime, being a part of the vanguard advocating a people-oriented constitution that will emerge from public participation and referendum. And to buttress his point here on a new one, he said what he's recommending is a transitional phase between now and 2031 to allow Nigerians to gather, review and harmonize previous constitutional efforts, including the reports of the various conferences and committees on restructuring ahead of the drafting of a new consensual document. And he said during the transitional period, he expects that elections will still hold and the winners will serve their terms, but with the understanding that come May 29, 2031, Nigeria will operate under a new constitution, a new structure, and what he called a fresh dawn. He also canvassed the conduct of a national referendum, describing it as a solemn act by which people will collectively speak in unison to decide matters of grave national importance. There's a lot more to his speech. It was quite lengthy and quite detailed indeed, but I'll just put this last one out there before we allow for you to jump in on the conversation. He advocated a reconfiguration of Nigeria's federal structure, noting that the states, rather than the federal government, should determine the structure and governance framework of the country. He said, and I quote, "The fact remains, and this fact stares us in the face, that the states appear to have lost their grip and gravitas on their traditional and constitutional jurisdiction and areas of influence with the federal system." And this is why he was advocating for this. Like I said, it's much more to what he said, but those are some of the major talking points. And so at this point, I guess we can open up the phone line.
Yes, we can. We can. But on this matter, I wish we have forward-thinking, innovative, proactive leaders. This would have been a very good suggestion, one that I agree with. There are so many things we know in our constitution that shouldn't be, can be better. People have called for, not a bicameral, but a unicameral legislature, which I totally agree with. Some of the things that were set up in 1999, the constitution that we currently have, were done with the dynamic of the world, the country at the time. At that time, we just came out from an interruption in democratic process with the last coup that led to General Sani Abacha being in power. Then, we're able to transition back to democracy in 1999. Should have been earlier, but then due to the number of things that happened. So the point here is this: there are so many things that were factors then that are no longer factors now. So improving on them, because we have seen so many gaps, holes in our constitution, that ideally we shouldn't be talking about an amendment. You're talking about a total overhaul. And there's a way. I mean, some people, the major opposition to a conversation like this is that can affect the way the country will run smoothly in the interim while we are working on it. But I say no. You see, it takes willingness. Where there's a will, they say there's a way. It takes willingness, it takes creativity on the part of the legislature to sit on a matter like this. I was telling you that if a legislature, any Senate wants to sit on overhauling the constitution entirely, maybe a legal practitioner will tell us, okay, this is it's not a good idea. But from where I sit, I look at it as something that is highly needed. A overhaul. Let's look at our current reality. What can better serve? So it is a people-minded government that would see to it. And so far, we've not been that fortunate to have people-minded government. You and I know. So because it's about the people. What are we doing now that is not serving the people? What can we change? For example, why do we have ministries domiciled in Abuja? Why do we have all of the commercial hubs domiciled in some part of the country, like in Lagos State? Why can't we ensure, if there's a very good train process, train system in the country, so it takes innovative leaders. It takes leaders who are mindful about the people to see to things like this.
I guess which is why he was advocating for like a change in the federating structure, making it more about the states than the federal government.
I agree with him
and at
totally.
some point, he continued his argument to say if the federating units were to take charge of the configuration, repair, and re-engineering of Nigeria for stability in all forms, including but not limited to security, constitutional architecture, and form of government, then with this federating unit and with the referendum in tow, put forward by the people, they will now be the ones to decide, not the National Assembly, that whether Nigeria needs a National Assembly or not. And if they need one, whether it was going to be full-time, part-time, with their tenure and all of that. There was a lot to the report, like I said, but let's take this break. Thank you for keeping it locked and tuned to your number one talk station, 95.1 Nigeria Info. And permit me to say, Damien D, we got your message. Damien D in Airport Road. And also, I don't know who this is, but you sent in a message saying you are having issues. The station signal is really poor. It says it's been poor since Sunday. That's for the person who wrote in from Kubwa, while Damien wrote in from Airport Road. Just to let you know that our engineers are on top of the situation, and we hope to have it all restored as soon as possible. In the meantime, I can confirm, at least before I came into the office, that our website and app are functional. So in the meantime, if you could please just go to Play Store, iStore, and download the Nigeria Info app. Make sure to select the Abuja location so that you can hear us and you can be a part of the conversation. We very much love for you to be able to join us, if not one way, then another. Let's get to the phone lines. 07009510000, 00959974869. And on WhatsApp is 009-993-0137. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Somi.
Welcome, sir.
And dear respecter, I greet you. My name is Salasi.
Welcome, Salasi.
I'm in Kaduna now. I can listen to you loud and clear, but on app.
Okay. All right. Good
Thank
to
you
know.
for confirming.
I want to talk about the last topic about the Olani Kwekun. I concur with what Olani Kwekun said. We should not have to be patch about our constitution. Even I remember former governor of Akwa Ibom, Victor Atta. That is what he was still emphasizing, most especially prominent Nigeria in emphasizing on a brand new constitution. I remember this one from Edo, Matt Ozokome, still mentioned about all these things. I think something needs to be done about that constitution. They should have the plan towards that, so that we will have a brand new constitution that all walks of life, all people from all parts of the country will come, not few people sit down and draft something and say this is the constitution, and every day you hear amendment. Then come to the issue of insecurity. Honestly, I hear you reading say that if the governor can't do it, the governor should resign. The governor say he know where these bandits are. The governor of Zamfara say he know if they can give him power in no less than 3 months, he will end the banditry in Zamfara. So also Niger State here. I'm telling you, it's a community in Niger here. People have been ransacked. People, they have become ghosts. No school, nothing that is happening in Niger State. Then how about even Katsina? In Niger State here, Plateau and Benue. So this insecurity is all over the country. So we are urging the government to use their intelligence to trace this criminal where they are. Yes, most especially where they are mining. Even in Niger, if you hear where all this is happening, is where they are mining.
Where,
They are mining gold there. Other part of the country. So we are urging the government to do the needful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Salasi. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
My name is Ajola Victor from Gifalaji.
Go ahead, sir.
About the coup rumor, we don't know whether it's true or not, because the federal government is trying to be silent on it. But to me, I think millions of Nigerians, especially Democrats, we don't want military intervention in this country again, considering what happened in the past. In the 1960s, Abacha regime in the 1960s, and in the 90s, Babangida and Co. and Abdullah, considering the financial atrocities these people committed during the regime. So, they are not better than civilians. So, yes, it is true that since 1999, we have been fumbling and wobbling democratically, but I believe we will get it right. It's just a matter of time. When we put in place electoral reform that will give us credible system, then we will now get credible leaders that will give us dividends of democracy. But for the military boys, let them stay in their barracks and defend our country and perform their constitutional duty, defending the territorial integrity of this country. That is our main duty, not to come into politics. We don't want them into politics again. If coups are happening around us and neighboring, it will never happen in Nigeria again. So we don't want it. Then as for what is happening in Zamfara State, Zamfara State, we have the senior minister and junior minister who are from the north. and the chief of defense staff. So if they cannot tackle security in their zone, it's not left for them because the president has given them which order, instruction, go and tackle it. So if they fail, their people should hold their responsibility. They don't have any excuse. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Sorry about that. Call us up and let's talk. In the meantime, messages here. My question is, Manzo is asking, between Zamfara and River State, which needs a state of emergency? You can now see that we're not after making life better for the masses, but what suits and fits the political and upper class only. Time will tell. Let it continue, he says. Kenny in Zone 1 says, reports have it that many northern elites are accomplices in these crimes allegedly, and they are known. What is the federal government doing about it? Are these people untouchable? If yes, then let them face it alone and stop dragging other regions back. There have been allegations and counter-allegations among other elites. The government is handicapped. It's very disheartening. All is simple because the federal government has no willpower to deal with those indicted decisively for the sake of political affiliation. For how long will these killings continue? For me, I hate to be hearing these news. Okay. Good afternoon. Or perhaps you might want to try calling the other lines. In the meantime, I'm still here on the messages. Laraba, thank you so much. I see your message. And Emefe Masokoro says, please, just like the Zamfara governor should resign if he's tired, the president is also, if he's tired of governing the country, he should simply resign because he can't be seen while globetrotting the whole globe, while terrorist groups are springing up all over the country and bandits and kidnappers are running amok unchallenged by our military, who are much interested in acquiring choice properties in the city centers, displacing communities of their ancestral lands instead of building barracks in all border regions of the country. Emefe Masokoro. I see you with this voice note. I don't know who you are, but it's 2 minutes long, just to let you know that I will not be playing it. A minute, 30 seconds is the max we can take. Good afternoon.
Hello. Welcome, Somi.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, good, bro.
Good afternoon.
Well done. You guys are doing a good job. Keep it up. Tony from Guarimpa.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
The ministry diversion is a no-no. A no-no for Nigeria. Made that mistake. I have been saying it. People have written in other countries. It shouldn't have even taken place in Nigeria at all. Nigeria should be a model. Little Africa. Nothing like that. They have enough. They play their traditional functions of territorial defense and integrity of this country. They have more than enough fights, battle to handle. You should flush out the bandits. They have them. Boko Haram guys, flush them all these criminals out of this country. We can have peace. And then for our deal with land all these rituals every year, reform of the constitution is unless the article is nowhere. We need a total of our military is an own democratic institution. Military cannot give us constitution. And it becomes a lie. We the people. Where? The never confirm nothing. We need a people constitution. That is as long as American constitution is only 40 pages. Don't even go mighty this thing, the constitution. That document so big to reduce it. Britain has no constitution. Britain has no constitution. And yet, because it was a colonial master, I'm running and working smoothly and fine. What big government we need is too bogus. It should be reduced. American constitution. I read it for 1 hour. 1.40 pages. And people observe we need a total overhaul. And it should be done by the people. We need a people constitution, not a military document. Silence have to get there.
All right, thank you very much, Sir Tony. I'd very much like to go through some of those suggestions put forward by Mr. Alani. For example, I was thinking about that transitional period up till 2031, which he talked about, which is, if I'm not mistaken, help me with the math, Gabriel. When 2025,
5 years.
6 years.
5 years.
5 or 6?
6 years.
6 years away. Yes. So, and he said within that period, elections can continue. Elected officials can also be serving in the period of a transition. And I'm like, oh my God, if only we could have a Nigeria where we can have, that in play, where there's a transition with a referendum put forward by the people and spearheaded by the people, with all of these federating systems which he suggested at work while elections are still going on.
Oh,
I don't know. Will it not be hijacked?
We don't even. Ideally, we shouldn't even be having a referendum. What we're asking for, what the suggestion is highly needed. But you see, we have a we have a country where politics is higher than governance. Politics is more paid attention to than governance. So I worry. A brilliant idea, brilliant suggestion. 6-year transition period, working on building a new constitution that we can work with, one that is more people centered. But in that time, is a lot of time for different political interest. So those who benefit from the chaos in the country, would they allow themselves oversee such a phenomenal change that can impact the lives of Nigerians? These are the questions. This is where the real problem is. It's not just making a suggestion. Do we have willing legislators?
And so that's the thing. He's described it clearly, in a manner that suggests that the legislation as it currently stands will not be a part of the process. And let's backtrack a bit.
Okay.
What you said is what we need now is not calls for referendum. He described what he called a national referendum as a solemn act by which people will collectively speak in unison to decide matters of grave national importance. Just so that it is not taken out of context, that's what he described this national referendum as. And if it calls for the people coming together to speak in unison, and then these people working with the federating systems, which he suggested should be at the state level, then he also goes ahead to explain how it is the referendum, not the National Assembly, that would decide whether or not Nigeria needs things like, for example, a National Assembly. It is this pairing of the federating systems working with the one voice of the people that will work to look at the security situation in Nigeria, constitutional architecture, and then decide on what form of government, which again comes back to the issue of
National
Assembly.
Do you want to describe practically how that will play out?
My brother, that's what I'm saying. I was trying to picture it as well.
Okay.
And that's why I was asking myself, so, okay, say we're able to get to the point where you have this one people speaking in one voice, you have the federation
Which people?
systems.
Like Nigerians?
What he called the national referendum. I described it.
Which people? Nigerians?
Yes, my brother.
Okay.
As he described, right?
Okay.
And then he goes ahead to say that there should be a transition period, where
who will work on it? He said no, because he said not the National Assembly.
Am I speaking English?
No, you're not. But it is not clear, Somi.
It's not clear.
It is not clear.
Perhaps you should spend time with the report. Let me again go back and read some of the things that he talked about.
Okay.
Yeah, he says, and I quote: "It is now time for the federating units to take charge of the configuration, repair, and re-engineering of Nigeria for stability in all forms." I backtrack a bit. What did he refer to as the federating units? He said there should be a reconfiguration of Nigeria's federal structures, noting that states rather than federal government will determine the structure and governance framework of the country. Is this still unclear?
No, that is clear.
So
what I'm saying is that for the state government, subnational, to determine the structure of the economy, that is not of the country. That is not what it is right now. For that change to be effected, that means there must have been reconstruction of the constitution. That is the only thing that can give power. Hold on, what I'm trying to say is this.
I get that. Which is why the first call he made was for an overhaul.
So who is going to do the overhaul?
At all. Let's ask Mr. Olanikweku again, shall we?
Because he said it is the lawmakers that will do it. They are the ones that will sit on the matter. They are the ones currently sitting on their amendments. They are the same ones that would work if there's going to ever be an overhaul. It's a lawmaker. It's going to be done in the Senate.
I mean,
so that's why I said, do we have legislators that are willing?
Do you understand what you described by the national referendum?
I understand it, and I feel like he was working with semantics there.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I see.
No, he was working with semantics.
I no wonder you're not seeing the picture the way it's playing out in his head.
I'm not seeing,
because that was for him. I think the way he put it, and this is my understanding of his document and his suggestions. You have this national referendum. You have the people deciding one or two things, and then you also have them working alongside the federating units. Perhaps maybe the national referendum will be the one that will address the overhaul of the constitution. I don't know, but this again is what he's putting forward.
Maybe we should reach out to him so that
we can get a little more.
Yeah, he can, because what you have described, I don't see. First and foremost, Nigerians I do not see Nigerians having one voice. Nigerians are so divided. Somebody said that Nigerians are united on the front of hunger, but you'll be shocked. Not everybody is hungry. When you are complaining here, some people are building houses, some people are buying land. So, can we, realistically speaking, have Nigeria have one voice, where tribalism is a lot, statism is a lot, where we have tribal bigots in everywhere. So I do not think it is going to be a forward-thinking executive that can mention it and propose it to a forward-thinking legislature and say we need to overhaul the constitution.
So let me take this final part and then we go back to the phone lines. He said, it is the referendum again. No, let me start from the Federation Union should take charge of the configuration, repair and re-engineering. It is the referendum, not the National Assembly, that will decide whether or not Nigeria needs a National Assembly, and if yes, whether full or part-time, and all of that. And he says, in other words, the National Assembly cannot act at that referendum since one cannot be a judge in his own case. It is the federating units that will make arrangements for the referendum being suggested, how it will be held, through which means it will be held, what parameters will be. Let's go back to the phone lines.
We would have to
Hopefully
reach out.
That provides
we would
a
have
little
to
more
reach
clarity
out.
while we try to reach
He does. So what he's even calling for is a total overhaul of the National Assembly. Like, let's do it with the National Assembly. So in that case, he's even asking that we scrap the National Assembly, both the red chambers and the green chambers, and they cannot be a judge in their own case. So I think I understand the angle. Yeah, I understand the angle is coming from now.
You don't get it.
Yeah, no. I do get it. I get it now. Now that's the tall order. I think I understand when he says the states are now giving more. Giving more power. We do not need senators.
They should take up their power.
Yes,
they need to be given more.
Maybe if we're even going to have a legislature, it's going to be at the state level. Maybe that. But I get what he's saying now, and that's a tall one. Is it something that we can do? I do not know. I don't think so. Well, I do not know. Let me say I don't think so, but I don't know. I get it now, but that's a tall one.
Okay.
Scrap national.
It's tall. We agree. It's tall.
But
you have said it like 15 times.
Yes,
let's get to the phone line.
It is. But I mean, it will be creative. If we can pull that off, it will be creative. Would not have 300 and something lawmakers to spend money on. Everybody should go back to their states.
So it's not as if the people will still get to decide what system works for them. He says, if at all. And then if at all the people decide that they want it, then they will determine the structure. So it's not necessarily, because the referendum and the federating units are going to be having these discussions, the National Assembly is automatically out the window. It will still fall on the people working with the federating units to decide what works for them best. So
okay.
0700951 0000 00959974869 and 00999300137. Hello. Good afternoon. Hello.
Well, good afternoon.
Welcome.
Thank you. Say hi to Gabriel Spector.
Good afternoon.
Calling you from Jersey.
Welcome, Frederick. You have a minute.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, on the people, right? Now, just like what he said is good, because the fact is that with the referendum, delegates will be appointed or delegated by state governors. For the state, with the state governors we have now are emperors in the state. So whomsoever they are going to send will only do their own bidding. Their interest comes first. Just like Spector said, they consider politicking on the highest. Now, nepotism is the highest peak to date in Nigeria. Because governance is at the lowest step. It's relegated governance. That's why what we're saying is this crop of politicians that we have cannot differentiate between governance and politicking. So the crop of leaders that we ought to have are people that have served probably are above 70. Because the rest will only be controlled by the caliber of politicians that we have now. And their interest comes first in every other thing they do. So just like Spectre said, seriously, it's going to be very hard. Most especially, sorry, he's only making a mistake, like Olani people, right? Not under this APC. Not under APC, because these people have totally lost conscience towards patriotism. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We'll have to take a break there, go on a commercial, come back, maybe take 2 or 3 more calls, and then we will wrap it up on the big 3 this afternoon. Stay with us.
Whether you're buying smoky jollof from your favorite spot in Ikeja, shopping online for your latest styles, or booking your next getaway to Dubai, MasterCard gives you the freedom to pay your way. Insert, tap, swipe, or click. So many options, yet so easy. With layers of security protecting every payment, your money stays safe.
From Dampo to travel, MasterCard connects you to the life you've earned and the one you dream of. Ask your bank for a MasterCard today. MasterCard, safe, convenient, priceless.
Malam, abeg, give me Stanel chop 1 chop 2 bread. Make I just take cold body. Oh boy, this bread correct well. Stanel chop 1 chop 2 bread. Now Stanel world they make am. You chop one, you must to chop another. Even you, we want.
This is Nigeria.